What's up, everybody? It's time for another week in the life. I kickstarted my Sunday morning with an anniversary brand shoot with Pinky Swear acrylics. More to see from that photo shoot soon. Then I went over to Cleveland House of Prayer to celebrate Sunday service with Overcoming Global, capturing the full worship and sermon along with some social media content. Monday morning, I came in and helped set up and monitor recording for a tiny desk submission with my guy Rockstar. Then Tuesday, I got started on some podcast editing for one of my out-of-state clients, then went into recording with my guys from the All-in-One podcast. After that, I got right back into the editing space, cutting their podcast and sending it out the next morning, which leads me into Wednesday. Got my oil change and a hoodie. Then I had a surprise birthday photo shoot. This one had a more fancy aesthetic, so I made sure to dress accordingly and set the vibe in the studio. Happy to say the birthday girl loved it. Here's some pics. Then Thursday was my big editing day. I put together a graphic for Baldwin Wallace, started up on the photo shoot edits from this week, and continued cutting more podcast episodes. I need a nap, y'all. Friday, grabbed my morning smoothie, made some event signs for around the studio, then I had another podcast shoot with the Only Fear God pod, then went right back into the fold, vending food and drinks for a paint and sip event for Case Western Reserve at the studio. Saturday, I knocked out some more podcast edits for my guy, BKA Watts, and wrapped up my week. That's about it, y'all. If you want to learn more about one of my sessions from this week, drop it in the comments below. And if you want to bring your next project to life, shoot me a DM or an email, and let's get to work.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Experience, guys. We have another great episode with y'all tonight. Episode 274. Roll to 300 is coming, y'all. And we have another great episode. We have my man Eddie Mace on tonight, y'all. The creative's creative. The man of the hour. Yeah, absolutely. My man is a photographer, videographer, and a poet. And we're going to learn so much more about this extraordinary young man. Welcome tonight, Eddie, man.
Yes, welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Come on.
Hey.
The first of many.
He's got so many toys, don't he?
That button.
So many.
And we got Miss Brittany with us tonight. Miss Beauty, too.
You see? Oh, you got it right.
I got it right. Another.
I told him, Steve.
And we got Steve in the building, y'all. See, I know it's gonna be a good episode, man. So Eddie, I like to talk about the journey, as anyone know. Where, if you had a hood to represent, what hood we represent?
So I'm from Parma originally.
Come on, okay.
Yeah. Born in the Parma Town Hospital.
Okay.
But creativity for me really just started as a kid. I was definitely like a big Lego kid, just working with my hands and drawing. That was really the main thing for a long time until I forget how old I was. I was still in elementary school, but I took a couple like summer courses for like video game design for one summer and then stop motion for another summer.
Okay. I'm sorry. No, you're good. Brittany just wanted. I don't know if you've seen her eyes. She was like, "Stop motion. What is that? What is stop motion when you say that?"
Stop motion is just picture by picture, frame by frame, typically animating like toys or action figures and stuff like that.
Okay.
Paranormal movies, like clay figures, stuff like that.
Okay.
Like Caroline and Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, okay. Nice. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I do it 20 times, Eddie.
That's funny. But yeah, so that really was where it started. Going through art classes in high school, still just drawing all the time. Getting then later into high school, I took a photography course just kind of randomly. And that was kind of where like the big thing for me had started. We were doing like photogram development, and photogram is like images on paper. So kind of like classic film now. Stop.
No,
No, you're good.
you're good.
I already lost my.
Sorry, Eddie, man.
Well, you were in high school with your videography class.
Yes. So high school photography class with photograms, developing things on paper. We were in a dark room, so going through kind of like the old vintage process, essentially. Pinhole cameras where you just kind of like pop a hole in a cardboard box, put a paper, and then leave it out for a minute at a time, and then it kind of mirrors an image.
Time out, Eddie, because like I
you're good,
remember,
you're good.
I know I remember, but I want to make sure our audience understands just because I feel like this new generation is used to camera phones, and you're talking about ways that we used to do it.
Yeah.
I say old school. Well,
It's classic.
classic.
Yeah.
Here we go, like the vintage or
Yeah.
nostalgic ways of doing it. But I love that because dark room. I haven't heard anybody talk about a dark room in a very long time.
Yeah, I loved it, man. I miss it. If I if I could, I would love to just have one in my own home and like still do film. I'm experimenting with film cameras again now, but even that's different than like what I originally learned. So.
Questions are formulated by once you finish what you have to say.
So photography started there between pinhole cameras and regular development, and then after that, COVID hit. So that school year got shut down, and then my family moved, so I didn't get to do that, continue that course or do the second year of it, which would have been really cool. But then at the time I was in Barberton. And then I moved to North Royalton where they had a digital photography course. And so that was really just like over Zoom for COVID and on phones and stuff. But that was where I really started learning about composition and framing and just how I should like craft an image. And then while I was in high school, I had the opportunity to look into a career center called Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, and they have programs for everything from EMS and fire, culinary, hospital stuff, auto work, whether it be for like actually repairing cars or doing body work. And then for me, at the time I was considering either their graphic design program or their media arts program. And then I ended up going into the media arts program, which was more of like a film background. And I was kind of thinking about doing that, like growing up, I loved like watching Ghostbusters movies and stuff like that. I would listen to like the director's commentary, so it was just, I figured I would start there.
Shout out to you, man.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people wasn't watching the director's cut or the commentary behind it. They were just like, let me watch the film on that. But I'm one of those nerds too, where I was not even saying nerd. I'm a film enthusiast and whatnot, and I love watching how they got certain angles and how they got certain things, or even the sound effects. I remember I was watching on Jurassic Park. He was talking about how he got the velociraptors to make that sounds. It is turtles having sex. That's the noise. Funny enough. I'm sorry. I was trying to say that. But it's crazy because you never watch that unless you watch the behind the scenes or the director's commentary. That's why I want to bring it up or not. So kids, watch the director's cut.
Yeah. There you go.
Weird fact, right?
Listen, man, it's always stuff like that.
Right.
But with like a film background, my professor had worked in radio, and so starting out, we kind of like learned shot by shot for film, making pre-production stuff from storyboards and shot lists, thinking about wide angles up all the way to like close-ups, inserts, whether it be like, in this case, like a close-up shot of the wine or something off, like a clock or the exit sign on the building. So stuff like that, and thinking about how we can tell a story and highlight emotion and characters and things like that. Then my second semester was musical engineering, so I was working in Pro Tools, which is what the engineers use at the studio I work at now, so that helped me like keep up with them a little bit.
Wow.
But second year with that, started with photography again, digital, and now at this point, 2 years in, actually having my hands on actual cameras and learning the settings and everything, working with lightings and posing. Then we got into animation, which I hated, but necessary.
Why?
I just hated how long it took, primarily like drawing frame by saying, like I do video and I just click a button and it does the frames for me.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we had guest speakers throughout every year, so consistently, every week, every other week, something like that, someone would come in. And so Charles Pratt, the owner of Breakthrough Sounds,
Shout out to Charles,
to
man.
guest speak at my school. I'd asked him about internships then because I was just like fascinated by the fact that it was so like community based and collaborative. And I literally remember like asking him like, do you guys have internships? He's like, we do. And like I remember the specific way he said it to me. But at the time, we like had opportunities to go out and get internships while also being at the career center blended with high school. So originally, because I wanted to do like film stuff, I was looking into Cleveland Film Commission, and as I was starting to just kind of learn about what that would look like, I just was turned off by how like unionized film is, and it's very like every role of production has their place, and like if you step outside of it, even just to like help somebody set something up, with it being in the union, you can actually get in a lot of trouble for that.
Wow.
And that just never made sense to me. Like, I get efficiency, but like just for the sake of just working together and like actually being a team, it just never made sense to me. And then I was just wondering what I was gonna do. Like, I just didn't know. I'm like, this is all I like wanted to do. What am I gonna do from here? And then Breakthrough putting out an ad just to my program that they were looking for multimedia interns. And so that was it. Like, I'm like,
they know you're a creative ninja over there.
I'm like, I was already sold on Breakthrough Sounds. I'm like, so I'm gonna go for it. And by the grace of God, I was the only person that applied for it.
Wow.
And so I had my interview, heard back a couple weeks later that they wanted to bring me in as an intern, and I just started there.
Come on. Like, so you were a creative ninja, because the fact you said you working with Pro Tools, but yet you were still working on photography. You were, God bless you for that, for this position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. It was just for you. If you're the only applicant, that's amazing.
Yeah, literally. I like, it still is astonishing, and I'm still thankful for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now, by the time this comes out, I will have already celebrated my 2-year anniversary working at Breakthrough Sounds. So I went from interning for a couple months and then being brought on as media assistant, and then I worked in that role for I think another year or so, something around that, and then I got brought on as media producer. So now, from going from just a high school student, I now lead the media company side of things, doing the client work, some social media stuff, helping update the website, keep that on track. So
come on now.
a little bit of everything, man.
I love you being humble, but Eddie, let me hit that a couple times, Eddie. Eddie make you look good. Yeah, I hit enough times, right? No. I've had the honor of working with Eddie at Futureland, and I'm like, I look at the episode like, okay. And I say that because like, I'm very harsh on myself per se. Let's say it like that and whatnot. And the way you were able to angle it, get the frame, I'm like, okay, all right. And my question to you, Eddie, man, and this is a question I think I ask every creative. Do you feel like your creativeness was a natural gift or something you cultivated along the way? Because it sounds like you did a little bit of both.
I would say a little bit of both. So I would say natural gift from God.
Come on now.
And then I would say cultivating.
Get up there by you. I hit on 18 times already.
I would say, cultivating and my expression and like level of knowledge around what I'm creating has changed over time as I've then developed and learned more and realize like, hey, I like doing this over this, like understanding all these rules, like I like to a certain point knowing how I can break them and have it be something unique.
Top episode, breaking the rules.
Oh, that's a fun title. I like that.
I like that.
So during that time of like the pandemic, like how did you still keep your interest alive? Because that seems like such a challenge during that already challenging time of having everything interactive versus you being able to be hands-on. So how did you overcome that?
So, I mean, a level of it was like, I had no other choice. What am I about to do in this house?
True.
But at the same time, I had, during the time I had my digital photography class, I had a walking for fitness class. And so they would make us go out and like walk every morning. So that I would just take my phone with me and I would just photograph stuff, whether it be like broken glass, kind of sitting a certain way or whatever it be. Some of my earliest stuff was just random things that I found that I just thought were interesting.
You found the art in broken glass. I was like, somebody can sweep this up.
You
said right. He said, I took it. Oh, listen, I love interviewing creatives. I would never thought of broken glass. I'm like, let me clean this up. But you like, this is artwork right here. So let me ask you this then, Eddie, man. What with your creative process? And we talked about this a little bit off camera. I'll ask that a little bit later. But like, how do you prepare for a project or for a big, I'm not saying job, because it's not even a job, like a big project? How do you prepare for it creatively? Like, do you do prep work? Do you listen to certain things? Like, what do you do to prepare?
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much every day, like I've gotten very in tune with making sure whatever content that I'm like seeing and purposefully taking in, whether it be on social media or YouTube, is going to be like fruitful for me. And I also want to make sure that I'm like applying it and not just like taking it in and just like, oh, I could do this one time, and then I don't ever like do those things. So whether it be people like Terry Warfield, who was on here, I've watched his stuff for months. I love that guy and all of his creative.
Shout out to Terry. Cue that one time for Terry. Tight shirt Terry, what's up?
But between things like that, and because we spend so much time on social media now, and there's always just like, I'm addicted to TikTok, I'm addicted to Instagram, and I'm like, I'm addicted to like learning. And
I like that.
Tight episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a good title right there.
Good title right there.
But and then coming, you know, from that perspective of like making sure that what I'm doing is fruitful and I'm not just like caught in this like content trap. When I'm preparing for sessions, really started at like the beginning of 2024. I had this concert that I had done promotional material for, and it was 9 featured artists. And they're just kind of going on repeat, doing a couple songs throughout the night. And I'm like, I kind of want to know what I'm in for, so I just started listening to their music ahead of time and like thinking about how they think and what they sound like, and that kind of then knowing what their music is about, I'm learning how they think and how they express themselves. So that helps me capture them when they're performing on stage.
That's dope. What do you call it? Like artistically being empathetic, or what do you call that process? 'Cause I like that. I don't know what that is, but I like that.
Sure, we can just go with that, I guess.
I don't know. I mean,
but I feel like it's like Avatar. You see Avatar where he, you know, I don't know if you watched Avatar, but Avatar, he was in the blue Avatar skin, and he was like, when he was part of them. All right, y'all get it. Y'all get on Tuesday or whatever.
I'm the worst person to ask. I don't watch movies all like that.
But I see what Eddie's saying. He's like to get in the mindset to get.
Yeah, get in their world.
Yeah,
basically.
he had to listen to music, and I think that's so dope.
yeah, I mean, even with photo video content, like I have a shoot coming up with a good amount of performing artists, and so at that point I'm kind of going to go through their Instagram and stuff they've released and think about like, how did they even just like with body language conduct themselves? So how can I capture them comfortably and still express themselves in a way that makes sense for them?
We're gonna figure out a term for that. We're gonna coin that. We're gonna call it the Eddie Mace method or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna figure it out. But I like that though. I like that.
Yeah.
I heard. Okay.
So what's been, when it comes to your creativeness, what have you seen as maybe the most challenging and maybe the most rewarding aspects of it? So seeing both ends of the spectrum.
I would say most challenging thing sometimes is just having patience.
Okay,
I can be a
fair.
very like
That's fair.
impatient person when it comes to like little things. So like if technology's not working, I'm gonna get upset so fast.
Oh, yeah.
But even sometimes like sitting down to edit, you know, I know what I'm in for. Like I've done it enough times with editing podcasts. I'm like, all right, I know I'm about to sit down for an hour and just do this and kind of go through the footage and cut back and forth. And like, I don't feel like doing that right now, but it's just getting over that and like, you know what, like I'll just get this out of the way and then I can move on to the next project or watch the show or whatever I want to do. But just pushing myself beyond the difficulties that I face. What was that? You said challenges. And
So you did the challenges. So what's been the most rewarding?
The impact on people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because the reason, you know, I started a breakthrough and transitioning from where I wanted to go was that I wanted things to be collaborative and I wanted to see the impact on people and the fruits of my labor. Like, I recently completed a documentary project for Fresh Year Ramon. His shop was closing down. And so in the process of that, he still came to me and was like, hey, I want to like do this documentary project and talk about the history of the shop and kind of the legacy we're leaving going forward. And as I'm working on this project, I'm just thinking about like, this is like a key moment of like the prime time of Freshie's life, right? You know what I mean? Wow. He's had this shop for X amount of years and he's like middle-aged now. And like, this is something that like his daughter or his son are gonna watch to like remember a piece of their dad. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that I'm like, I'm leaving this impact and I'm telling this story, but it goes beyond like what they want to tell for their own reasons, but like, how are people gonna like remember them and their legacies?
That's good. That's so good.
Okay.
I'm sorry, because like I as you're saying, I'm just thinking about the impact that you're making with each project or whatnot, and that's phenomenal right there. Because like you guys don't know this, like I pray to God that my kids watch this podcast when they're older, and they're sitting down like, look at that right there, you know. And like we don't know the impact of what we're doing, of the projects that we're working on, who is going to impact later on in life. So shout out to you, Eddie, man.
Definitely.
With that being said, you said something off camera that we talked about, right? We talked about how with you guys being creatives, some of the unfortunately sometimes it does become, not saying become a job, but it can become a job after a while. How do you, not saying prevent, how do you keep it so it stays creative and doesn't turn to work?
So I'm gonna backtrack. I'm gonna tell a story and like kind of lead up. Like October, November-ish of 2023, I just had like the worst experience of just like burnout. This was coming after the first Futureland event. And at the time, I didn't have like the technology to do what we did at the most recent one, where I'm editing live while I'm filming. So I know I have all these episodes I have to sit through on top of my regular week-to-week work, and I just felt like overwhelmed. And I'm like, I like don't know if I have any like creative output for myself at this point. For whatever reason, I don't even remember why, but I just went to like Target and I bought a Polaroid camera. And then I just started going around Parma because I'm like, it's my hometown. I'm like, I know this place and where I'm going. And it was like 11 o'clock at night and I'm just going around like photographing Polaroids of like LED signs of places. And that like revived, you know, the past of like understanding film a little bit more and like classic photography. So that then like made my like creative process come back, and then kept moving on. And then, you know, from there, I think I'm blessed now to a point where people can come to me. And even recently I did a mic drop for a client of mine, and he was just like, I've seen your stuff, just like do whatever, as long as it looks good.
Wow.
And so like for people to say that to me, I'm just like, all right, like let's do it. And then that also comes into play with me wanting to like apply the things that I'm taking in all the time. So whether it be with shot angles or the way I'm animating a title card at the beginning of it, like I'm able to then apply what I'm learning because people like trust that and they see that there's like a quality behind that and it makes sense for their creative identity. Even then recently I got a film camera a couple months ago, so I've kind of been toying around with that just whenever I feel like it. So it's something different, you know, because I'm always doing, you know, a creative profession as like my day-to-day job. It's the only job I work. You know, I'm constantly creating for other people and outputting expression, but I'm not creating something for myself. Even if like, you know, my hand is in it and like my taste and style is in it, you know, it's not like for me, you know what I mean? So.
No, that's profound. I don't think I'd be able to like produce another podcast. I'm used to doing a podcast that speaks to what we're doing here, but like someone told me their idea and what they want to convey versus what I'm used to doing as far as creatively. I don't know if I'd be able to do the two. Wow, I thought about that. Which brings me to the next question. With that being said, how do you, let's say if I'm a client, I say to you, hey Eddie, I need this X and Y, right? And how do you as a creative bring that person's idea to life and still, like you said, have your touch on it to where the client is satisfied with the overall project?
So I use the mic drop video as an example because I just talked about that. You know, for him, he was just like, do whatever you want. And his song was very fast paced and jumpy. And he was super expressive with his hand motions. He was like throwing hands up and down, whatever. So as I'm cutting video at different angles, I'm cutting, you know, throws his hands up, cut, whatever, then it's like cuts to a zoomer in, but you don't notice it because of the motion, or I'm exaggerating motion as he's going back and forth. There's one part in the video where like he rolls his head and it just like goes through a couple different places. Like randomly doing mic drops, dude, like people are so like, I don't want to say like predictable in their body language, but like people will do the same thing and it makes it easier to like cut and exaggerate their motion, but that also helps, like, because it's still them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even if it's the same angle of shot, but like the background color is different, like it just flows.
That's good.
So I think that even that time back within with like listening to artists and thinking about how they think, like being there with them in that moment, or even just building upon it during the session. Like, I'm like, could we do like this shot? I'm like, I think this would like help elevate it more.
That's good. That's good.
So who's some maybe individuals that maybe you follow on social media or just admire their work? Who's been like a huge influence in your journey thus far?
That's good.
Peter McKinnon is the big one. Peter McKinnon, his story, he, like, his sister gifted him a camera when he was like a teenager. He wanted to like sell it, and then he just kind of went out and started shooting his camera around and just fell in love with it. So kind of the same way as me, was kind of just like by accident.
Yeah.
But then he kind of went on doing YouTube videos and things like that. And between him and people like Casey Neistat, they're probably one of the most like well-known people within like a social media atmosphere that do what they do. Peter has worked with people like Blink-182. There was a photograph that went around after the last solar eclipse, and there's two planes like converging in front of the eclipse. That was shot by Peter. And like with his opportunities, he got to partner with Red Bull and things like that to make something like that happen. But he's a really fantastic photographer. He's got his own product line of like lens filters and camera bags and things like that. So something like that where you're not just like a photographer doing work, but then you're also creating things to benefit other people.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really the big one. There's some old like classic photographs. I forget what the photographer's name was, but there's one photograph called Starving Mother. If you like any history class, it's gonna be like a for sure seen thing, but it's like this mom that's just kind of posing and her like kids are asleep in her lap, and there's just like this depressed look on her face because she has to feed these kids, but it's still just the way it's shot conveys such strong emotion and like tiredness through the photograph. That was like probably the first photograph that really got me thinking like, you know, I want to make stuff like that. But yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So let me ask you this then. With that being said, like you said earlier, how animation, you like, I don't want to do that. One, what keeps you challenged nowadays, like creatively? And then two, what would you say, what skill set that you learned along the way that you learned in the beginning that you still use today?
So I would say challenges, I think, is like, there's been a strong development of like AI. I think AI is kind of like the biggest thing where it's like, I still use AI in my work a little bit, but not a lot. Anything that I edit, I do it on my own. The only thing I use AI for is like remixing tracks for videos if I need to do that. Or this is like getting like a little technical, but what is the term that they have on Lightroom? It's basically taking like the grain out of an image or the noise out of an image, like just from AI. So like if I'm shooting in low light and I have to bump up my sensitivity, then it kind of cleans it up for me. That's really the only thing I use it for.
See, I knew that.
What was the other half?
Like you like with the animation, you said that's something I'm not doing because you know like how the work that went into it. What are the things that you now are like, I had this skill set, but now I'm using it, and it's now gotten better along the way?
So I think looking at things like storytelling wise from education.
Oh wow.
That even goes into like the way I edit the podcast. So like I remember you said off camera earlier, you know, like the intuition of when to go to a wide shot or when to go close up or on one person versus the other. You know, I like think about the conversation they're having and like the exchange moments and when they're in one point or then that point kind of ends and there's like a little reaction time and then back into it. When I'm doing recaps, I like editing to music like on the beat whether it be like kind of at the drums and then breaking it if there's some other significant sound, and then kind of going into it so that as like a viewer, you kind of have this expectation and then it's broken, kind of breaking the rules, like I said earlier, and then captivating again.
I like that. Because like I said, I watched the episode with Future, and you do, like you said, I was watching one with me and Terry or whatnot, and I don't know how you did it, but it's like he's a wizard. So I'm talking to Terry, and it cut to me, because my reaction with Eddie, to what Terry said, I'm like, okay. And I don't know what I thought. I can lie. I thought it was AI. I thought it was. I'm like, AI. You using the AI? Whatnot? Like, how you know AI? That's all me. Wow. Shout out to you, man.
No, yeah. When we were doing the Futureland thing, I was editing in the moment, so I had a little setup, from the two cameras that I had, one wide cam and one close cam. My close cam, I'm going back and forth in the moment as you guys are talking, and then I'm cutting while I'm recording to my laptop. So between back and forth. So, yeah. That helps me also think more intuitively in the process.
One day, I need a break to just take care of me. And I love how Febrez's Soothe and Restore sets the mood perfectly with relaxing notes of warm whipped sugar and shea butter. And now I'm ready to relax and unwind.
I'm already dialed in, going back and forth, but then there's just an extra step of action, caution that I have to take too.
You know that scene in Iron Man, when Iron Man is doing this with all the stuff in front of him? That's how you were at Futureland.
That is a great way to.
This is a really good comparison.
Yeah, that actually is.
Because the way you said it, I'm like, I can see that.
Because doing it live, that's scary to me. Like, how do you know when to? I would be stumbling with such a huge delay. I'd be delayed just hitting the buzzer. Let alone trying to do it on the computer of putting this together and that together. So that is a marvelous skill set.
That's a skill set.
I appreciate that.
Wow.
Hey, one time for Eddie.
Right on.
Yeah.
Now, is there something else that you, in your realm of creativity that you would like to attempt to do, kind of tackle as something like, oh, that seems interesting, I want to kind of venture off and do that?
I think for me, growing up, YouTube was there was no time where I didn't have YouTube in my life, and I think that was what got me into any type of content creation thing. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I've never really done anything like that. I think the biggest challenge was that is doing this day to day is work, and a lot of people will probably say the same thing. Is when it comes to creating for me, I'm like, how do I do this right? You know what I mean? I know exactly how I want to do it, but then I get in my head and not I wouldn't say it's imposter syndrome, but I think it's just overthinking it.
Yeah.
Sure, definitely. You don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, because I said when you said you grew up with YouTube, I said
What?
all right. I can relate to a certain
Shout out
degree.
to Eddie, man.
Yeah, I actually thought you were much older the way that you were talking about the different things that you're able to do, and wow, you really did start on your youth, your finer youth days. All right, awesome.
So let's talk about, because Eddie is a creative, and I said because you got the videography, you got the photography, but he also is a poet.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about the poetry, my friend, and what led to the poetry, and how did that help you also creatively?
Before getting into photography, I would write, I would just finish up work at school and then I would just write. And I was writing more so books at the time, not poetry. I hated poetry when I was in school. I thought it was the most boring thing. I'm I cannot sit here. Every English year, there's always the poetry unit. I'm I hate it. I'm so clocked out right now. But when I got into photography, I left any inclination I had to write just behind, because I was so obsessed with photography.
Oh, wow.
But kicking off 2024, we had 2 shows at the studio. Both were with the Sparrow's Fortune. Shout out to them.
Shout out to Morgan and my man.
Great people. Known them for a good amount of time now, but they did 2 shows. So one of them was Bare in the Flesh, which is Morgan and Khalil's album. They also made it the book, but they performed it live. And then with all of the Sparrow's Fortune Collective, they did a show called Searching for Home. And that was kind of exploring love, whether it be within family or actual romantic love and things of that nature. And after seeing those 2 shows, I was just
You were inspired.
I want to do that. So I just started writing a little bit, and I think like I wrote my first poem. I think I'd like kind of experimented with a little bit like the month prior, but then like I was kind of like somewhat experimenting around different ideas, kind of within the same niche. But then I started going to their writers' workshops that the Sparrow's Fortune hosts, and I remember that the first one I did after I read my poem, Morgan looked at me and she was like, "Do you want to be a photographer or do you want to be a poet?" And I was in that moment, I'm like, that was really nice. Like, I didn't expect that. I'm like, this is good. But just from there, consistently, still going to writers' workshops.
Yeah.
I went to my first open mic last year and performed at Poetry Unplugged. Since then, I've performed numerous times at different spots around the city. I know Africa's right over here. I performed at Africa maybe like 6 months ago or something.
Come on now.
But yeah, I think poetry for me was like, that's my way of self-expressing now for myself. From interpreting the world and just ideas, and then I still get to be kind of like playful with the way I write and with the words that like that is now like filling that creative satisfaction for me, for myself.
Okay. So are you a poetic photographer or a photogenic poet?
I'm not photogenic. You put me in front of it. I was nervous going before this. Anytime someone takes pictures of me, I'm like,
So stoic.
if you gotta do a video with me, like for social media, even when I do like my reels for Instagram, like it takes me so long to film those.
Are you like your own worst critic?
Yes.
I think all creators are. I don't know what it is with you guys, because like, I won't get into it. I love you, Steve.
Yes, for sure.
But I see it every single time. I'm like, wait, listen, they already know. I'll be like, it could be all mess. I'm like, let's throw it out there, right? And they're like, no, we got to do all this, we got to do that. I'm like, all right. And I see with creators, like y'all have a keen, eye and a key sense of wanting to do things. But for non-creatives, he's like, no, that's okay. He's like, oh, it's a bird flying in there. I'm like, But my question to you is that, what advice would you give to the up-and-comer? Cause he's still young though, bro. I'm like, he's an up-and-comer, like.
No, I'm still blown away by that. 20, wow.
But what would you say to the up-and-coming photographers? What advice would you? No, scratch that. I got a better question. Let's talk about the stuff that most people don't want to talk about, the downfalls, or not the downfalls, the lessons that you learned with the mistakes you made. We'll talk about what lessons that you learned while on your journey to be a world-renowned photographer. Let's talk about those lessons. Let's talk about a lesson that you learned that hurt. That you said, I'm not doing that. The lesson that you learned that stuck with you to this day. I said I'm around the world with that one.
I think, so for me, while I was a assistant at Breakthrough, I was also working a restaurant job. I hated that job. I hated it like so much, but like I needed the money, you know what I mean? Let's gotta pay the bills. But after a certain point, I think I'd worked there for about 8 months, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm like straight up, like I'm done. Like I've had my fill. I can't do this job anymore. And so I quit that job and then just went all in on doing photo video work. And it's still the only job I had. I haven't had to take a job since then. But I didn't like think this as I was doing it, but in retrospect, I didn't give myself a choice, but to continue moving and
get it back to you.
putting myself in situations to succeed.
Ooh, that's good. Ooh. Let me ask you, do you feel like when you were working a restaurant job, it's kind of not saying it's skewed, but it like took away from you averting all your attention towards being a photographer, working with Breakthrough Sounds?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I got you. Do you look back and like, I should have, not saying you should have, because I know a lot of people, they juggle, a full-time job and entrepreneurship and respect. Do you recommend that for those who are able in a position to go full-time in their journey, or would you be like, okay, do it to where it works for you?
I mean, you have to do it with caution, regardless. Like, I needed to make sure that I was in a place that I could still take care of myself for an amount of time. If I have to go back, then, I take the hit. I'm glad that I didn't, because I'm sure, like, in a situation like that, that is, like, that's a hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's being cautious, especially with money and things like that. But like, are you in a space mentally to leave this job and like know that you can focus on this? So even when I'm having imposter syndrome where I don't like feel that creative thing, like if I left in the middle of burnout, and not thinking about anything, I'm out, like I would have had nothing. But I mean, ultimately, I still think that there is an importance to still not giving yourself a choice, but to still pursue that thing.
That's good.
Because at the end of the day, if you're still doing this job and your job isn't progressing, and you're still in the same role 20 years later, and then your actual passion hasn't then also grown with it, and it's just stayed dormant, you're doing something wrong.
So wise for so young. That's good.
That's good for sure.
That's great advice. That's not even just for that's great advice for all entrepreneurs. Yeah, and all entrepreneurs. Because I know some people are like, oh, I'm not quitting my job, but
the fear.
The fear.
That's
Yeah.
the fear. Most people let the fear take over, and never can see what could have been. Unlike yourself, where you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna take the risk. So that's pretty cool. So Eddie, what's the I'm gonna use your phrase. What's the "Mama, I made it" moment for you? So for the actors or actresses is winning your Oscar, or a singer winning that Grammy. What's gonna maybe yours isn't awards or achievements of that nature, but what would be your "Mama, I made it" moment for you?
I would say different levels of like commercial work, which I am blessed to say that I have been able to do some commercial work too.
Okay, that's
I've done, like, if you look at the Dave's Cosmic Subs menu, Breakthrough Sounds, we've had like a relationship with them for a minute, but when they launched some new menu photos, I took some of those for them, along with the other past items that Breakthrough as a whole did. When Cleveland Flag Project was launching in Cleveland, I got to do their kind of like flagship video. That's unintended pun, but kind of like announcing on social media that they had then like dwindled down their last like picks, and then we're going to transfer the vote to the public. I had the opportunity to photograph an Adobe event directly for them. So the brand manager at Breakthrough Sounds, her name is Kyra. She's also the president of AIGA Cleveland, and that organization was partnering with Adobe when they came in the summertime to do an event. It was at the Madison, and Adobe was in need of a photographer, and Kyra just put in my name, and then they ended up.
Okay, that's awesome. All right.
So let me ask you this. So if they say, hey, we need a photographer for the Super Bowl, we need someone in Cleveland, would that be the moment?
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I'm not a big sports guy, but I know that's the one.
Okay. All right. Halftime show, maybe?
I think that would be pretty cool. I could, listen, if I can capture Kendrick doing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl, that's like the peak concert photography moment.
We know Kendrick likes
and just give him something to A minor, but just like wording it. Oh my goodness, that would go in like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Oh, man, Eddie, man, listen, this has been a great interview, my friend. And you were so I can't wait for 10 years from now. Like, we had Eddie Mace on this joint, and now he is over in Dubai taking pictures of sand dunes for National Geographic.
Sure.
So I'm looking forward to it. Yes, I really am. Look. I'm just thinking about, because you see, take a picture of broken glass. I'm just thinking about like next level, like pictures for him. So.
Hey, it goes over our heads. Okay?
Yeah.
Y'all have your own like lingo, like just everything. Like it's y'all own world, and we're just.
I just strain my brain trying to think about a hypothetical like that. I'm like, sand dunes. Okay, yes, artistic. Okay. With that being said, man. Here's the full experience. I'm sorry. We gotta talk about the future, man. You talk about the past, talk about the present, talk about the future, my friend. What can we expect in the future for you, my friend?
I think for me, growth and progression.
Okay.
To just continue staying busy and still doing creative work, while still like maintaining my own balance within that. But I still want to keep growing and still keep doing new things, working with new clients, more commercial work, music videos, things like that. I'm kind of working on what I can do, like for myself, like within my own content creation or like selling my own digital assets, things of that nature. But figuring it out, that's kind of my plan at the moment.
Oh, you like I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, you got time. Well, what like I'm just curious at this point. So, what would be your content creation? What would that include? Okay.
When I say I'm figuring it out, I'm at like square one.
Okay.
But
So like a book of poetry, like, you know, can we expect that?
yeah, I do want to release a poetry project. I think as I've been ideating around, like
What?
Listen, Eddie, I'm telling you, I got on camera. What is the poetry and made photography with the poetry and made it into a book?
I thought about people have told me that before. I think it definitely will happen at some
I'm
point.
gonna be rich. I like it.
Somebody get him.
Yes, I can see it though. Broken glass.
That's the title.
Yeah, broken glass. The poetry to me, like, it'd be phenomenal, man. No, but I see big things for you, my friend. Really, I
I
do.
appreciate that, man.
Only 20, Brittany.
Only 20. That is incredible.
Listen, you are doing an amazing thing, my friend. Okay, so y'all, like, we know right here, the Blue Springs like to talk about these simple questions that being a person, and I look, thank you from Parma. Like, I think your first Parma,
I was gonna say, I
or
don't
Parmaton,
know.
Parmageddon, what we call Parma.
Oh, you giving him his own nickname?
No. What do you call people in Parma? What do we call you guys? Parmageddons? No? Parmatarians?
Not even a thing.
You just say people from Parma.
People from Parma, okay. We'll figure out. Well, I'll look at love later.
P-Town.
Yeah, P-Town. But you're first. But, and you've been around enough creatives here in the city and whatnot.
Sure.
And I love the fact, shout out to Breakthrough Sound, shout out to Charles, shout out to Ariel with the whole team over there, because they are master collaborators. I think you guys collaborate with, I think, just about everybody, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys are a perfect example of what collaboration can happen, what collaboration can be like in our city. But the truth is, unfortunately, Cleveland has a stigma of not being a collaborative place. What do you feel like, in your opinion, is a way we can change that narrative?
I think ultimately it's like open-mindedness. I think a lot of times people can either like want to do everything themselves, and even then, like I'm a fairly like, what is the word? I'm a fairly skeptical person, but kind of just going beyond that and like, all right, you know, I'm just like, I'm not gonna like just give it a chance, whatever. Even that comes from like, because we're partnered with creative meetups, and so making opportunities like that,
Shout out to Lisa.
making opportunities like that where all these creatives get to meet and then kind of mesh together. You know, maybe they make the Spark Grant and they're able to put an event or an experience on for other people to then come and then like create out of that in their own events. Collaboration goes beyond just like having your name on like the paper.
Ooh, hit that one time for Eddie. That's so good. Okay, with that being said, man, and like I said, I didn't know I got that this number for days, so that's dope. Who can we see in the future, or who would you like to collaborate with in the future? What entity, what corporation, whoever, whatever, we like to collaborate in the future?
I think different brands for like different gear, whether they look like sponsorships or like brand ambassador type deal with them. One that I have my eye on right now is Prism Lens Effects. They're like a lens filter company for like effects for music videos and things like that. I have some of their products, and they do like affiliate programs with social media creators to like promote stuff, and then they earn money back from like, you know, people using their code, so stuff like that. I think that's something that I definitely wanted to get into soon.
And like in my crazy mind, I know they're watching, so do me a favor, y'all hit up my man Eddie, okay? We gonna tag y'all in this video, by the way. We gonna like, hey, hit up Eddie. We want him to get all the affiliate links and all the monies.
Yes, right.
For you guys' great lenses.
All right, so over to me, Eddie. So we've had such a phenomenal time with you tonight. Again, just learning about your journey, learning your story, learning how you continue to perfect your craft and everything like that.
Absolutely.
It's been amazing. So when it comes to legacy, what would you like the legacy to be for yourself in all of your endeavors?
At 20.
At just 20, yeah.
Whenever I'm blessed with children, that is a strong legacy. Everett Taylor had, yeah, I think it was Everett Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
He had brought up legacy when you and Watts were interviewing him. And he was saying, it goes beyond just like having my name attached to things, but it's all the impact on people.
Yeah.
And I remember Watts was like, I want to see my name on it. Like, I can, like, I'm cool. Knowing that I impacted people in like the same way as like the documentary, at least hoping, that then leaves an impact on his kids and like seeing their dad in that light. I think that's legacy enough for me.
So through the art, I think that's dope.
It is. So listen, you have not only inspired us, but I'm sure others that are watching, others that are listening. So when it comes to taking all of what you've given us tonight and just kind of bringing it on in, what would be 3 takeaways you would give to someone today?
3 takeaways.
And you've been hitting with the wisdom, like very wise.
I'm making them up as I go. First one, it's achievable.
Ooh.
Okay.
Second, believe in yourself.
Mm.
And put yourself out there.
Okay.
The third one's put yourself out. Okay, so very okay. All right, I like it. Straight and to the point.
Okay, Eddie. Okay. I wasn't ready for you, Eddie. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
We see.
Yeah, no. But man, we really do appreciate you coming on, man.
Absolutely.
And the most important question of the whole episode, man, where people learn more about you, where can they see your great work, and where can they book you for future endeavors or projects in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at Eddie Mace Media, EDDIEMACEMEDIA. That is also my YouTube name, even though there's literally nothing on there right now. I'm on LinkedIn. If you find me on social media, I have a link tree with my description on the breakthrough page where you can learn a little more about me if this wasn't enough for you. And my booking link is through there for like rental and mic drops and things of that nature. But you can also just hit me up if you have any questions or want to learn more about the gear that I use or the approaches I take or just want to book, just hit me up.
Listen, guys, as you guys are watching the episode, I'm going to put it right in the show notes. So listen, I need you to book Eddie for your next project, for just listen to poetry, just support my boy, okay? Stop playing. Eddie, man, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
Absolutely. So listen, guys, we got to pay some bills. Guys, listen, coming up, February 16th, Entrepreneur Dating Game. What are you doing with your life? You need to be there, okay? If you're single and lonely,
What's going on with this commercial?
you need to be there, okay? No, I'm just playing. No, listen, guys, we know entrepreneurs, it's so hard to find love, right? And we at the Political Experience, we have done the unthinkable. We are going to make love happen, okay? By putting together no, my bad. I'm my word. Yeah.
My face had red when I could not.
My bad, I said that wrong. But you get what I'm saying. We're going to put
I'll leave that to you.
entrepreneurs together, okay?
It's all him at this point.
If you want dating game, we're gonna do our own version, right? We're gonna have 1 bachelor and 3 bachelorettes, and we're gonna have 1 bachelorette and 3 bachelors. And they're going to not be able to see each other, and they're going to be able to ask questions. And out of those great potential mates, they're going to choose one, and they're going to go on great dates. We have everything from 2 Fly Games to sponsoring a gamer date. We have my man Chris Brooks and Euphoria. They're going to have a bowling date. Then we have Tina. She's going to have a dessert date. So great many dates they get to choose from. They get to choose, and we're going to work on recording them things and see how I go from there. So you guys, I need you guys to be in the building to be able to see the great matches that we have, and maybe we'll fall in love. We're going to say we had the very first married couple the Political Experience put together. I'm saying it now. So do me a favor, go on the link, get the tickets. We still have 2-for-1 deal going on. It's going to be a great time, so please get the tickets today. Over to Brittany.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard the man. Get your tickets. And listen, make sure you guys tune into my podcast, Beauty Told.
Yeah!
Again, giving you guys. He's doing most of it.
I didn't expect that at all.
I know.
I'm so proud of Brittany, y'all. That's what I'm
saying. All the
saying.
time. It's him all
I'm
the
proud
time.
of Brittany, man. Y'all don't understand. I was telling Brittany before we record. I am so proud of you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to take some
You better
time
say
out.
right, go ahead.
I'm proud of Brittany because y'all understand. I know Brittany for a long time, and I remember when I was in her office, because y'all know Brittany be about better business, right? And in her office, I was telling her about the public experience. I was telling her about this podcast. And she was telling me that was a great idea, Brandon. I was saying in my head, she need her own podcast, right? I didn't tell her then.
Oh, me too.
I did, but I said she need her own podcast. And Brittany is doing the thing, man. Shout out to her and Brittany, what they doing. And if y'all haven't seen the new episode, what are you doing?
Yes, definitely.
Sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that because that does help to bring in the fact that the collaboration is here. It's taken over, and thanks to Bree with Overflow Studios, Beauty Toe colliding together and making this thing bigger, better, spectacular in 2025 that you've never seen before. So again, still giving you guys great relationship advice with great guests on, but you know, now it's looking a lot better. It's looking a lot more different, okay? But again, if you guys can learn from our story told, then we know it's a story well told on Beauty Told. Can't wait to see you guys there. Make sure y'all tune in and subscribe.
Yes. Guys, also, it's official. Podcast of 102 is in effect. Steve, what day will we put? I'm sorry. March 1st. Woo! March 1st. Yes. All Steve and Bree are going to be teaching you how to create that podcast, the visuals, the editing, the production. They're going to show you, yes, you, the person watching, how to start that podcast and use like Moses, like God told Moses, use what you got in your hand. Use that camera you got in your hand to make that podcast. They're going to teach you how to do it. Because Steve, I'll tell you what, shout out to my man.
That's right.
Because he showed me how to use my actual iPhone. And I feel like I'm like Leonardo da Vinci with that joint. You know what I'm saying? You know, and he gonna teach you how to do the same thing. Him and Bree. Do me a favor, guys. We'll have that soon in the link. Get your tickets. It's gonna be a phenomenal time. You'll be learning a lot. And stay on the lookout for that. Am I forgetting something?
Other than the fact you better tap into our folks down below in the description.
Yes.
So tapping in with Bree with Overflow Studios, tapping in with Steve with Alien Eyes, tapping in with my boy, Not Your Average Agent, girl Britt, Sam, Nakia Hudson with the best wine in the world. You hear me? There's so many beautiful, wonderful entrepreneurs that are doing the darn thing. So y'all make sure y'all tap into each and every one of y'all. Love us, show us you love us.
Come on now. Well, I like that. I like what you said that. Guys, I want to thank you, the person watching, you, the person listening, because guys, episode 274, road to 300, guys, as of right now, 19.5 thousand subscribers, 8.2 million views, and counting. And it is nothing but the grace of God and great people like you who are watching great stories like Eddie's. Okay? And we can't thank you guys enough because this is a podcast out of Cleveland, Ohio. I think you understand. We're quote unquote the mistake on the lake. God don't make mistakes with this one. That's what you say about it. What do you say about us? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that.
Listen, I've heard worse. But I won't use that one because it's PG-13. But I say that all because you got listen. When I look at analysts, guys, and there's people outside Cleveland who watch this podcast. I know it's nothing but God. I'm thinking of other people in Cleveland watching it. It's not even people in Cleveland. It's people outside Cleveland, which is good. This is okay with me. I just thank God once again for the opportunity to be able to tell these great stories. And we can't thank you guys enough for what you guys do, for liking, sharing, commenting, and just being a great part of what we do. Yeah. So we just want to thank you guys, and we can't do it without you. So guys, listen, this is episode 274. Episode 300 is on the way. Hey. So you guys just stay tuned, okay? So we'll see you guys next time. Peace.